and relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson. Hello, and thank you for watching.
Will, back in Sydney, had a bit of a tourist in my former hometown day yesterday. Went and had high tea down in Darling Harbour. Took Iona on a ferry. Went to Luna Park. It was great.
Okay,
I'm just giving you that's the overview.
I know, but how much time are we going to spend on high tea? Enough?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Oh, that's fine. Okay, well, that's okay. I just thought maybe you were going to go
No,
past high tea.
No, everything that I mentioned has a reason because we're coming back to all of those
good.
things.
All right, this is good.
Okay,
Yes.
so last time we were in Sydney, Jem took Iona out to high tea in the QV building, and they do a weekend high tea. Now, I'm not familiar. Do you know what high tea is? What the concept of high tea? You would love it. It's totally your bag.
I mean, it's like, it's a
It's
selection.
like getting high and drinking tea, although you would love that too.
Well, it can be. I don't know why you're ruling that out, because I've stayed at hotels where I've invented high tea. And it is the best kind of high tea.
So you're going to have to leave. You are way too high tea.
I won't. There's a
Put down the finger sandwiches.
there is a restaurant in a hotel, a beautiful old historic hotel in Canberra that I was staying at when I was doing a run of shows in Canberra, and one Saturday or Sunday afternoon in the foyer there, they were doing a high tea, and I got so stoned and went down and had high tea, and it was like just towers of cakes and desserts.
I could imagine to stoners,
because I love a finger food at the best of the times, and like high teas are kind of like the finger foods. In fact, sometimes they'll even have. Like, because you can get your all sort of sweet high tea, but your more traditional high tea might have like a savory to sweet progression, which is my favorite type of high tea.
Yeah. And that was the high tea we had yesterday. But the one that Jem took Iona to initially was your traditional high tea, more cake and sandwich oriented scones particular. And Jem was very excited because she doesn't eat gluten, amazing gluten-free scones apparently, this one. But we couldn't get in, but it was one of those things you do as a parent where you promise your kid something.
Yes.
And then when we arrived in Sydney and we called to make a booking, they said, I'm sorry, there's a private function. It's not available. So then we started scouring where are other high teas in Sydney. And the thing about high teas, it's like, it's fucking hard to get into. Like 24 hours notice, apparently. I think it's like it's a bespoke finger food. So
I think that high teas are back a little as well. I feel like, because I've always been a fan of the high tea, but I feel like there's been both a bubble tea and high tea resurgence.
Well, I think there's definitely a crossover. So, Jem...
There is, isn't there? There's like an Instagrammable, modern, like
100%.
Asian dessert.
You know exactly where this is going.
Yes, okay. Right.
Okay. So, Jem's plan was like, and I love my wife because this is her attitude with everything. It's like, let's just rock up. They said no, let's just rock up.
We'll just go.
We'll just go. And so we just rock up, and so we go to the one at in Crown Towers. There's a high tea there, and we rock up, and they say, sorry, it's 24 hours notice. And Jem's like, is it really 24 hours notice? Like, surely you've made more. Like, and the guy was like, no, and she's like, why don't you just go back and chat to the cook and see if it. And fucking sure enough, he came back and said, I'm delighted to let you know that we do actually have. And then Jim's like, one further complication, I'm gluten-free. And the guy's gone, let me check. And he goes back and he's gone, okay, yeah, we can substitute. You can't have the exact, thing, but we can substitute some stuff in. And so... let me just
Not only do I call you a liar, I bet you've got stuff back there. Also, I'm gluten-free.
It was
and
amazing.
It worked.
It was amazing. Like,
that is amazing.
Mary Lou.
That's a level of confidence that I cannot, I would find that uncomfortable.
Mary Lou and Scott came to stay with us over Christmas with their kids. And Scott and I were sitting, and so our friend Mary Lou, she and Gemma are very good friends, but they're both very kind of, very strong, powerful, successful women who know what they want. And so we're just joking at dinner because Scott and I were like, our attitude is always, we're just happy to be here. But Gemma will always, you get shown a table at the restaurant, they're always like, is that the best table? Could we have the one by the window? Like, they just want to, they're not being rude, but they just like,
Yeah.
they'd like to see how far can they, what's the best thing
What's
that
the
they can
best
get
thing that we can get?
out of this
Yes.
situation without, being rude or anything. Whereas Scott and I was like, oh, I'm so glad. Thanks for
Yeah.
inviting me.
This
So
is
happy
enough.
to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit more that way as well.
So they get us seated, and it's like I look at the price, I'm like, fucking Jesus, like this is expensive high tea, like probably, twice what you'd pay at anywhere else. And the guy said, oh yes, it's part of the Taylor Swift Eras tour. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, is she here? Like, is she having tea? Are we about to have high tea with Taylor Swift? And this is the power of Taylor Swift. Like, this is where this like mega celebrity superstar is at the moment. Her brand is so powerful that they just whack Taylor Swift Eras on this high tea. Because I said to the guy, so what is the connection? And
Is there a connection? Like, does it have?
Well,
like,
she's touring in 4 months.
Is it themed to her though? Like, is there
vaguely? Okay, the connection.
Is it this like cheesecake brackets Taylor's version?
The connection is one of the cakes come out shaped like a guitar.
Yeah,
well, only one, and there is a chance if you pay for high tea here. And like filling out the questionnaire or something, you go into the draw to win. You could win 4 tickets to see Taylor Swift, right?
But this is just some cheesecake factory that's bought 4 tickets to Taylor Swift and
100%.
decided to rebrand as like a fancy Taylor Swift high tea.
But it was actually her official. Like, I think she's licensed it. Like, this is
you'd want to think so.
The power of her name.
Yeah, no, I mean,
is that you can take any fucking like completely unrelated product, say Taylor Swift Eras, blah blah, insert blank. And suddenly you can charge double what you're charging for anywhere else.
What if this was TOFOP Taylor's version? Could we get Taylor Swift to endorse TOFOP?
What would that mean? What?
Well, what did it mean at the high tea?
A guitar-shaped cake.
Just every week we discuss something about Taylor.
I mean, I'm sure if you read the menu, because they're very fancy, the menu breaks down like, creme brulee with a blah, blah, doo, doo, blah, blah. I'm sure there was some kind of rock and roll. Or
like the banana shake it off.
No, not that cheap or lowbrow. Sorry, mate.
Oh, really?
But no, I think it was more.
Well, it feels like there was nothing.
Well, more like the songbird. It's a bit more high. It's not like that literal as Taylor Swift song puns, but it's more like, an artistic, the musical notes of flavor that will hit your palate when you blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so it tastes like Taylor Swift.
Oh, I'm not going to say that.
Well,
I don't think you can
but you know what I mean? It tastes like the music of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, if you have,
it's inspired by the music of Taylor Swift.
When your senses are all mucked up,
yeah,
synesthesia or whatever it is.
Synesthesia, and you can taste Taylor Swift's
music. Yeah, totally, that's what it was. So, and it was the savory sweet one, where the top layer was
like Taylor herself.
Yes, exactly. It was all the sweets on the top, and then and it was Asian cuisine, like Asian, like dumplings and money bags and things like that. It was good, but it was definitely an Instagram, it was an influencer
designed to be photographed and 100%. Then eaten.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think because I walked around when we were waiting to see if the chef could fit us in. I was like, oh, is this, if we're going to pay all this money, let's have a look. And no one seemed to really be eating the food.
It's not for eating.
And when it comes out, it does.
For taking photos
it looks inedible.
Yeah.
Because it looks like toys. Like, it's like you open a Kinder Surprise and there's like.
Oh, they're like, oh, no, you shouldn't be eating
I had this pistachio.
Did you let your child eat
fondant thing. Yeah. No, that was just a cake decoration. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a little bride and groom, right? No.
Oh, dear God, no.
But I ate this like it was a miniature potted plant. So the pot the plant came in was chocolate, like white chocolate but dyed green. And then it had like a pistachio fondant. So that looked like soil.
Yeah.
And then there was like I guess it was like a chocolate pretzel stick or something like that, like a pretzel stick covered in chocolate.
Yeah.
And then like a ganache of some kind, like tree. I couldn't work out the connection between Taylor Swift and like a chocolate shaped like a plant.
That was Taylor Swift. It's yeah, I don't know either, but there might be. Maybe there's a connection in her music. There's like, it's about her growth or like.
Maybe there could be. I mean, now you got me thinking, like I didn't really
investigate if there was layers to it.
Yeah, and I don't know her song catalogue that well, apart from Shake It
Were
Off.
they playing Taylor Swift music while you were in there
I
exclusively?
wasn't aware of that music.
I mean, surely they should have like if I went to a Taylor Swift
I reckon I would have
inspired
noticed.
high tea,
There was nothing about it that there was no Taylor Swift paraphernalia apart
merchandise.
from the
No,
menu.
it wasn't like Planet Hollywood. There was no sort of like
The menu was just her Eras tour poster,
Yeah.
and then on the back the food. It was I was saying to Jem, it's a vulgar display of power by Taylor Swift that she has taken this thing that is completely unrelated to her music, and like, I mean, what kind of cut is she getting? Did people just pay a licensing fee, right?
I mean, I don't even know where to start. Yes, I imagine that.
If you want to use her brand,
But she would be she seems to be very careful about, like, I mean, she's the most successful brand in the world at the moment, right? And I think she's pretty careful around the management of that brand.
unless you're a high tea, like it seems such a
But
bizarre
it's just, that's
thing.
her loophole.
Like,
She's
the
just
amount of-
mad for high
The
tea.
amount of people who would be coming to her management saying, "Can we put a name on this or a face on that?" And then they're like,
One.
There's
one.
There's a cafe
High tea.
in Sydney, in Crown Towers in Sydney, that want to use your name. Done, approved.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it, but I would say that, like, it was not worth the money we paid. I think it was the Instagram. That's what most of the clientele were there to do, was photograph.
When it comes to
And they were all dressed up too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Everyone in
as
there.
Taylor Swift,
No, just like, but in like, because I don't really frequent casinos. I don't really like casinos. Freak me out a little bit. Just the whole gaucheness of it all. I just find a bit weird. And like the fact that it's a Saturday afternoon and people are like dressed, like guys are in suits and, girls are in these like, gowns and stuff. And to sit in a
glamour,
cafe,
the glamour of
and
the
eat
casino.
a tiny tree.
Like, it's sunny outside, gross in Sydney
And so hot.
by the
It's
water.
so hot.
You know what I want to do? Get dressed up in fancy clothes and go into a place where you never know what time it is and gamble away all my money.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds pretty fun.
So after that, we jumped on a ferry on the way to Luna Park. And it was like beautiful blue skies, and I'm getting lots of nice photos of Jem and Iona. And every boat that goes past, we're pointing out to Iona, and her granddad lives on a boat. We're like, oh, that's like Grandpa Roger's boat. And then we point out this, like, there's a party boat that goes by. I'm like, oh, there's people having a party, the people, the booze cruise or whatever. I know we didn't say booze cruise. Like, there's another name for it. Like, there's a floating disco. And then we see this barge coming towards us. Like, it's a boat, but it's like a beaten up looking barge. And there's people on it. And I'm like, and there's another party boat. And as it passes closer, I realize it's a bucks party, and there is a completely naked waitress handing out shots. And I am like, whoa, look over here. And I'm like, can she see that? Do I have to explain this? Like, what do I do? And dude, like, I tell you what, like, I mean, I've never liked going to bucks parties.
No.
Like, I've never, like, that's not true. I've gone traditional bucks parties. I've never enjoyed ones where it's all about like strippers and humiliating the groom. I'm always like, why is this fun? Like, I just don't get that. Like, I don't get that thing of like, we're just going to make the groom dress up like an idiot and just like make fun of him and humiliate him and jeopardize his relationship.
I honestly think I've been to like 2 bucks parties in my entire life. I just don't think I have ever been invited. Maybe 3.
The last one I went to, I bailed on. I've been to some good ones with friends, but they're generally not like what people think of when they think of a bucks party. And also just like, I get self-conscious about, I know people hate seeing large groups of men anywhere. And I too, as part of that large group of like, I feel self-conscious about being in this large group of men. I know we're loud and intimidating and stuff, and I don't want to be part of that. But seeing this like beaten up, but like paint peeling barge, like, and these like 20 odd guys in their Hawaiian shirts or whatever, and this waitress walking around, I'm like, none of that looks like, and it was quite rocky too in the harbor.
I mean, that's only one of those things that like when you're in the middle of it, you can't see. It's the fog of war,
Yes.
right? Like, but if you literally are a step back, watching on what is
part of
going
me was
on,
like, if I had a torpedo,
yeah.
like I'd get the captain of the boat and I'd get the waitress off and I'd torpedo
Sir?
the rest. Like, it just was like the worst display of humanity like I'd ever seen, and so gross. And I just was like, oh, I mean, look, they were young guys. I'm assuming they're kind of like young guys, but it's like, is that, are we progressing from that, or are we just, is that just always going to be like, are we making strides, inroads that think, you don't have to celebrate your masculinity in that way? Or is it always just going to be, that's an element that exists?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the answer to that question, and I will never know the answer to that question. I don't. There's
By the way, I'm not saying that anyone was doing anything wrong.
no. Like this was kind of the point that I was about to make next, which is I feel like I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, there's just so many ways to look at that, which is like, oh, well, maybe some of it's just like a natural part of like expressing it, and they're actually expressing it in like a, safe way, and hopefully the
that
waitress
boat did not look
No,
safe. It looked like it was.
hopefully the waitress has been paid well, and everyone.
I hope she has a life jacket, because that thing was not making it back to the shore.
So yes, but you do also sometimes think you're reminded immediately of, it's like going to I have been going down to trying to get regularly to the beach, but the beach that I've been going to, the lockers, the changing room there is just really reminds you that men are still real animals.
Yes.
I have this.
Just a public toilet will remind you of that.
But this is like the real contrast of like part of like I've been trying over the summer to go to the beach every day, get in the water every day. It's like meant to be this like therapeutic and like good for my mind, good for my body experience. And I'd sort of just set myself a target that I don't have to be in the water for long if it's like, but I want to get in it every day. That's just my little achievable thing that I can do. So it actually is quite a lovely part of my life, punctuated every day by
dressing room.
because like literally part of it is so spiritual. Like I'm in the ocean and I feel as one with the planet, and it's a moment to kind of meditate on the nature of existence. And I am genuinely trying to connect to it in that way. And then
someone shat in the urinal.
Why do we smell so horrible? It's gross.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah.
It was. So then we arrive at a Luna Park, and I don't think I've been to either Melbourne or Sydney Luna Park in over 10 years. They've done a pretty good job. Like the Sydney Luna Park, I guess they must have had a bit of money lately, because it's all, looks all fixed up, and they've done a good job of.
They do so I've done a few conventions and work corporate events there, and so they run a pretty good program, I think. So obviously there's the park part of it. They have a big venue there that bands will play at and people can have events at, and they have like a corporate event. So like there is that kind of fun vibe where they have conference centers where they can run corporate events, but then everyone can go on the rides at the end of the 3 days of having your meetings and stuff. So I think they've had a smart business plan, it feels like, around the idea that if we just think of this as being like a kids amusement park that runs at night, then we're not going to be able to afford to do this.
Yeah.
But if we make it like a moreover experience, then...
And I think they've done a good job. Like it aesthetically looks great, and they've captured that kind of spirit of the old carny, aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. But by God, is it fucking expensive?
Yes.
Like it's so expensive. By the time we were done a day out in Sydney, high tea, ferry ride, Luna Park, dinner, I was like, well, we're never coming to Sydney ever again.
No.
Like it is, this city is prohibitively expensive. Yeah. Like I can understand why no one goes out here, because
you've got to wait until they rebrand it Taylor Swift Era's Sydney. Then it's really going to be pricey.
It's just like, how does anyone afford to do anything? I was seeing we've got one kid. I was seeing families of 5 or 6. And I'm like, I know what it cost us, the 3 of us. I'm like, that was ridiculous. I enjoy this because we are not coming back for 10 years. And she loved it, by the way. She had such a good time. And it was good for her as well because, living sort of rurally, amusement parks, like she's got like Wet and Wild and stuff, but that's like next level. This is a good entry level. They still have the old school, like Coney Island style attractions where like they have a slide that you ride in a sack, which we did that. I got to admit, that seems the most dangerous of all the rides. Like you
Yes.
literally
That's not entry level. That's the one where you're like,
there's
oh,
no
hang
padding.
on, we're still just doing this.
Yeah. You just jump off. No, there's not even a sack. It's like more of a doormat with ropes. You put your feet into a doormat with ropes and then just go off this slide with absolutely no padding or protection. And it sort of blows my mind a little bit that New South Wales is so overregulated in so many ways in terms of like, keeping you safe and you can't do this, you can't do that. But you can go to this little amusement park on the harbour, and if you want to kill yourself, go right ahead. We're going to turn the other way.
I mean, it's close to the harbour. They can dump the body immediately. It's fine. But also, I think it's one of those...
Blue Murder style, just an engine block to the ankles.
I remember going out on Sydney Harbour on New Year's Eve, like for, to help with a photo shoot that was being taken place.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
And part of that was like, it was on this old barge, and the reason it was on this old barge was it was from laws beyond where it was the boat that could get the closest, because the modern day laws about
apply.
It was an exception of like this boat, right?
Yeah,
so
I've
it
got
was
nothing in the rule book for this thing.
Yeah, it was a loophole. It was just us and the guys on a Bucks party with a nude waitress. And no, it was an old school barge that was outside the laws. And maybe Luna Park has been there long enough that they have some like, if you were a new place that was being built, they wouldn't let you strap someone to a doormat and then push them down a slide. But Luna Park applies to old Luna Park rules.
Well, I think old Luna Park, what I've noticed from the staff there is there is a real literal generational clash, because you've got predominantly the staff there seem to be young international students.
Yes.
But then there's this and I'm talking like old, like 70 plus old guys also working around, and the amount of arguments I saw between old Luna Park and new Luna Park at one point, and like hints of bias on both sides, I would say.
Yeah, the new ones think the old fogies know anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. And like they're the next generation, but then
there was a full-on Barney at I can't remember, it's the hall with the slides and all the old school Coney Island rides. It's called Funnyland or something like that. And
back when they didn't have to try, it's all just like
laughs. LAFFS, laughs. But so we're lining up, and it's a young guy is on the door, and the old dude, who looked like he must have been 70 plus, maybe even 80. He was really old. He came out, and when old people are so incensed, like they literally he does that. He had that chewing thing. His jaw was going. And he was like, the woman didn't have the wristband. And the young guy's like, what? And he's like, the woman, she came in, did she have a wristband? And the guy was like, what woman? And it's like, the woman without a wristband. And the guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, and then he was being really aggressive to the young guy. And then one of the mums in the line was like, hey. Like, you've come out really angry. Like, maybe just slow down and explain to him. And then the old guy's like, oh, this guy's always letting in people without their wristbands. And then the young guy's like, hey, you can't talk to me like that. I'm an employee here. We are equals. You are not my superior. You can't talk to me like that. And I was like, fuck the rides. Like, this
is the show.
This is the
I definitely
show.
would have loved it. If I knew that was happening, I would have come on down.
Oh, mate, it was great. It was so good to watch. And then I felt bad for the old guy, because I think when the mum jumped on board, he was the heel now. Like, he lost the crowd.
That's right. But also, that's classic. Like, that's everything that everyone thinks about generations played out in front of you, which is like the old guy who's mad that the
young guy wasn't following the rules.
Yeah, the young guy's probably not following the rules. Yeah. He's probably letting people in willy-nilly without wristbands. Does it matter?
No.
Who knows? We don't know. Maybe there is a big edict from Big Luna Park that everyone has to have their fucking wristband, and old mate is the one who constantly has to hear about it and cop it and whatever. And we don't know the backstory of what's going on here. But on face value, feels like the old bloke is a stickler for the rules and the young bloke isn't doing his job very well. And he's come out, finally snapped.
Yeah.
Because his kid's doing it all the time.
Yeah.
and then mum has mollycoddled the next
That's
generation.
right.
again.
Totally. This is you're the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Raising kids like this.
Yeah, who think they're equals.
Yeah. Well, there was an element because when the young guy was like, "Hey, you can't speak to me like that," I'm like, "Oh, we have come a long way." Because when I was
Yes, it's good. And
when
which
I
is
was
good,
18 working
but,
casually,
yeah.
if someone had spoken to me like that, I'd be like,
You'd be
"Oh my
like,
God, I'm sorry." Like I
Yes.
wouldn't have stood up for myself.
Yeah, the idea that the younger person, even if they are equals, like could acknowledge that and feel empowered to acknowledge that is a good thing, but feels very foreign to us.
Yeah.
Because that is not part of what we were.
And almost like precocious, right?
Yes, that's why you have the reaction to
Yeah.
it, because you're like, of course that is reasonable, but I was raised in an era where that was not considered to be reasonable.
I mean, it's happening already with Iona where she's questioning why I get to make the rules. And I don't have a good answer.
Well, you say, because I'm a white man, and this is the most important lesson I can teach you. That despite my competence,
My
one
waning
way
power.
or the other,
My power has diminished, admittedly, but I'm still the
still
dominant.
pretty good at the moment, and you need to know about this.
Speaking of heels,
excuse me, Charlie. The special Taylor Swift themed tea has arrived. Would you like me to bring it in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, what's he brought in? What's it? Every time the fourth time we've recorded in here.
Oh,
hang on.
Look
Wow.
at this.
What's the? Hang on. Well, I've got to explain this. So Mike has just brought in a plate of watermelon shaped into a tea for Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
I mean, or anchors. They look a little like anchors.
What's the eclair? What's that have to do with Taylor Swift?
You've got to link it.
Oh,
Mike?
so hang on. Is there a link? Or am I going to be... All right. Okay.
Oh.
Let me work this out.
She is the
Cream puff. She's a pastry. She's a Taylor... We're just going to lose Will now for the next 5 minutes while he eats. Okay. Do I need to know names of Taylor Swift songs to work this out?
Well, do you want to know the truth or do you want to play the game?
All right, let's play the game. Okay. Taylor Swift eclair. Taylor Swift watermelon.
I just had to taste it because
Taste it,
to
is that a song?
understand it.
Right.
Yeah.
What have you gleaned anything from ingesting one half of the clues?
Yeah.
I'd love that if that's how Batman solved crimes.
I'm just gonna have a little
lick the
nibble
blood.
on that. Yep.
Yep.
Let me.
There was definitely a murder here.
I can taste. Thank you, Mike. I can taste.
So you're Alfred.
Yeah.
I just brought in a napkin for Will.
I mean, is that something we could pitch? By the way,
What?
is a detective that solves crimes by taste.
Like a forensic.
He's a
forensic
former
investigator.
Yeah, but he's a former
Because
chef.
you need
Or
organic matter for him to sample, right? Or you saying any
crime by taste.
But how would that work? Like if it's a robbery, what's he tasting?
Well,
that licks the door hand.
Yeah.
This person that tastes like Cheezels. Gareth Reynolds was here.
But I think that yes, he would lick for clues. Like depending.
Lick and taste for clues. Lick and smell for clues.
No, well, I mean, I'm talking. Well, yes, smell would be part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want it to be like he's got a great sense of smell, and then that suddenly becomes the. It's all about his taste. He uses smell slightly to kind of enhance his
private
taste.
dick
but
who
it's-
loves to lick.
Yeah, that's his slogan. Yes. and he comes in and he tastes like what the crime is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or uses his sense of smell and taste, I think. Because I think
Why do you keep having to bring smell into
because
it?
that's part of the consumption, isn't it? Like you smell
You're overcomplicating
Okay,
the
just
concept.
taste,
He's
all right.
just a detective.
a monk style, an idiosyncratic
Yes.
private detective, and taste is how he solves
It's called
crime.
Taste of Murder.
Yeah, a taste of death.
A taste of death.
All right, so it's specifically murders. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Is he allowed to taste blood? Like, do the police do they turn the other way so he can taste blood?
That's what they do. Yeah.
All right. So they tape off a crime
They
scene.
they call
Like
off the
Batman,
area. Look
tape off
over
the crime
there, and then
scene,
he's like,
they bring him in. He comes in and he's
Yeah.
like, and it's like, yeah, this murder happened 7 hours ago. The killer recently had steak. It's grass-fed. Wagyu, in fact. Yeah, check every Japanese restaurant in a 20-kilometer radius.
Yes. Taste of Death.
Taste of Death. I like it.
Yeah.
Who are we casting in Taste of Death?
I mean, it needs to be somebody who you trust.
Like Tony Shalhoub, it's got to be like a quirky actor.
I think a quirky actor, but also somebody who looks like
actress.
Yes. But that they look like they have good taste in, like that they would be good at tasting food.
Yep. Okay.
You got to be believable.
I mean, I don't know what that person looks like. Someone who looks like they're good at tasting food.
Well, I think that
Like Matt Preston
no
type.
No. I
Jack
just think
Black.
someone who has I don't think they need to be like look like someone who eats a lot of food.
Okay.
I think it has to be that idea of like you just.
I don't know who that is though. I don't know that.
Like an Anthony Bourdain type, is more what I'm
but Anthony
thinking.
Bourdain, if you didn't know he was a cook, you'd think he was like a musician or an artist.
Yeah,
or a
like or a detective in Taste of Death. That's what I'm like imagining.
So you
he's like he's a cool sort of like
rock and roll.
Like he's still got that quirkiness,
Yeah.
but it's just like a bit more sort of like Bourdain style leather jacket, gumshoe.
Yeah, I
like
gotcha.
sort of.
Okay,
you
it's a
know.
bit of modern noir.
Yeah.
Okay, is it an Australian show?
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. Yes. I think this could definitely be an Australian
Okay,
show.
so I mean, I'm thinking like a Richard Roxburgh
Yeah,
type or David Wenham. Oh, Mendo,
Ben Mendelsohn.
fucking Mendo.
Yeah.
Taste of Death. Yeah, I think this.
Yeah.
I was also talking about Mendo. He's got a bit of a lisp, doesn't he? How do you Mendo? It's kind of like I don't know. How did you say good Mendo? I don't know. I've never done one before. Yeah. I don't know. Well, give me a line from a Mendo movie. Does he have a famous line from a film? Your mum's dead. So I'm thinking of Animal Kingdom. How'd your mum die? That's a real shame. Can I taste her blood?
The essence of beauty in unity in variety. As you say,
You just googled Ben Mendelsohn quote?
The essence of beauty in unity in variety.
Yeah, that taste in that crime
Oh, that was
scene.
Felix Mendelssohn. Sorry.
You fucking screwed me over with my impression. You only get one Mendo, and that was it. It's gone.
Oh man.
All right, should we get back to the quiz?
Oh yeah. So Taylor
the
Swift.
quiz.
Taylor
Watermelon eclairs.
It's all linked to
Yeah.
Taylor. Everything there
Okay.
is linked to Taylor.
All right.
All right. So the
Taylor.
T for her name.
You got it.
Okay, so that's that done.
That's
I
it?
tried to do guitars. It was very difficult, so I had to do T's.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
So
all right.
they're T's. That was the only link.
Was this in a shape?
Yeah.
Were the eclairs in a shape before Will?
No,
ate
no
one?
shapes with the other
Okay, so
items.
this is more a reference.
Yeah,
A
you'll
Claire.
get one. You'll definitely get one of them. One of them will be a
Cream
bit tricky.
pastry,
You'll have to know.
chocolate.
Cream.
Cream pastry, chocolate. Shake It Off. What are her other songs?
I don't know any.
Bad
other
Blood.
songs.